Are we on? Yeah, I think we're on. Okay, so what I'm gonna be trying to do here is I'm gonna try to rate every single Watcher card in Slay the Spire. My dudes, I'm gonna do this Northern Lion style. No promises how it will go because one, I'm just going by the feel. I'm not gonna do. I'm not prepared at all. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm doing this spontaneously. And two, I'm not even qualified to say this because I haven't even done Ascension 20 as the Watcher. I've only reached as far as Ascension 18, so it might not even be 1% valid what I'm gonna be saying here, but I'm gonna do it anyway for fun. So I'm gonna rate every card 1 to 5. Possibly both unupgraded and upgraded versions are gonna be rated. And so yeah, Northern Lion style, right? Yeah. Okay, so should we start? I feel like there was more I was trying to say. Oh yeah, I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes, but no promises, since this might be fairly fair. And yeah, my voice is kind of hoarse, I'm kind of sick at the moment, but who the fuck cares? Let's start. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna rate both strike and defend. So deal 6 damage, blah blah blah, everyone knows what this does, it's trash. These are starter cards, so I shouldn't even be rating them, but let's say that they are frickin' 0 out of 5. Both upgraded and unupgraded. Who cares? Okay. Eruption. Another starter card. Very important. Rafiver's very important, especially on Act 1. You need this extra damage to get your kills going. Okay, so unupgraded, costs 2, deals 9 damage. Pretty trash, isn't it? Okay, so I would rate this a 1. Upgraded. Upgraded, I would say it's a 2. It's pretty good, but it's still a starter card and it's a really bad starter card. Okay, Vigilance. Gain 8 block, enter calm. Okay, so I would say this is a 1 unupgraded, maybe a 2 while upgraded. I mean, you need this to change stances early, but aside from that, not very useful. Bowling Bash. Another bad one. I mean, first bad one that's not in a starter, I guess. I think both upgraded and upgraded. This one is a 1 out of 5. It's pretty situational, and in the most important things like elites and boss fights, this will just be 7 or 10 damage. Pretty bad. Consecrate. Finally, a one that isn't completely bad, in my opinion. This one is decent damage for 0 energy, and it's to all enemies, so it also crowd controls. Helps you crowd control at least, so I would say this is a 3. Both upgraded and unupgraded. Okay, done. Now, Crescendo. I'm actually gonna rate both Crescendo and Tranquility here. Where's Tranquility? Here. Retain, enter Calm, Retain, enter Wrath. Costs 1, costs 0 when upgraded. I think these are 1 unupgraded, and probably a 2 out of 5 when upgraded. I pretty much never take them. I might rarely take them when they're pre-upgraded, I guess, from the card reward, but lets you manipulate stance but doesn't do anything else, and it exhausts. It does retain, that's a big plus, but I still think these are pretty bad. Now, Crush Joints. I used to think it's pretty damn good. Now I think it's decent. I've fallen out of a bit with this card, so I think it's a 2, but a 3 when upgraded. Vulnerability is pretty valuable, but aside from that, damage is pretty poor. It's a common card, so nothing spectacular here. Same with Cut Through Fate, but this one I would say is a 2 out of 5 in both versions. It's mediocre damage. It scries, it draws 1. I mean, the draw is valuable because it draws on that turn immediately, but still. Okay, Empty Body. This one, it's a common. It's 7 to 10 block. It manipulates stances, which is valuable, obviously. I think this is a 2 in both instances. Yeah. Oh, Empty Fist, this is a cool one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. This character isn't even out in a non-beta yet, it's only out in beta, so it's still work in progress, so all this can change. Yeah, I'm just doing this for fun, no one cares. So, Empty Fist. Deal 9 damage, exit your stance, then it's 14. This card was recently buffed, it used to be 8 or 12 damage, now it's 9 and 14. So, it's decent damage, it's pretty good actually. I think this card is... Now it's probably like a 2 when unupgraded, but a 3 when upgraded. If you want if you want easy stance manipulation, this one's pretty valuable, I would say. Now Evaluate. Another common block. So, I think that this card should be a 7 block when unupgraded. I think that's a pretty important change to make in the future by Mega Crit. So, 6 block, Shuffle and Insight. Block is 1 too low in my opinion, so I'm gonna say that this is a 2 out of 5 when unupgraded, probably a 3 when upgraded, because 10 block's pretty good. And Insight is... It takes up a card slot by itself, but once you draw it, you get 1 extra card, I guess. I mean, you get 2, but 2 minus 1, because I'm counting itself, right? Flurry of Blows. Now this is a weird one, because I never use it. I know that it can be good. 4 or 6 damage. Well, it's not like it's necessary, it's like kind of an anger, but different, right? I think I'm gonna give it a 2 in both instances. Like, this is a card I don't really like, I might be wrong on it. I mean, it's damage that you can make consistent by changing stances, obviously. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at 2. I'm not gonna talk anymore about it. Okay, now Flying Sleeves. Another bad one, in my opinion at least. The retain is good, obviously, but the damage is pretty damn mediocre. It scales better with strength because it deals damage twice, but it still is either 8 or 12. I think I'm gonna give it... I'm not gonna even give it a 2, I'm gonna give it a 1. Both upgraded and upgraded. Now Follow-Up. Follow-Up is a weird one. I really like it early. I tend to usually add one early if I have the option. Because it's a free attack. The upgrade is pretty damn good. I would say this card is a... it's good early, but overall I would say it's a 2. Unupgraded. Probably a 3 when upgraded, because the damage it gets pretty nice. 11 is a pretty good amount for a common attack that you can make cost 0. Now Halt. I usually add at least 1 in my builds, because I'm running rough, I'm running damage, I like killing things quickly. And this is especially good if you can change your stance from rough to no stance or calm at the end of the turn. So you get a bunch of free block. Pretty much, yeah. But I will say the block when unupgraded is pretty mediocre. It's pretty damn good when upgraded. So I would say this card is like a 2 when unupgraded. But maybe even a 4 when upgraded, I think. It's a pretty damn good block for 0, I would say. Now, Just Lucky. I used to think this was good, then I thought it was decent, now I think it's kinda mediocre, so... I mean, it is like... It's everything in one, right? It's a little bit of everything, but... It's also very non-substantial to what you're doing, so... I'm gonna give it a... I'm not gonna give it a 1, I'll give it a 2, unupgraded. Probably a 3 upgraded, because 3 block 4 damage for free, pretty decent for a single card. Now, Pressure Points, apply 8 mark. Okay, this is the one I completely don't get. I think like I'm not even qualified to give it a rating, because I completely don't understand what makes it good, like in what situation is it good, like in what situation is it more than 8 or 11 damage to all enemies. Well, I guess it's not that bad. I guess it's kind of like Cleave, but different. I don't know. I think I'll give it a 2 in both instances. Now, Prostrate. This one's weird. I rarely run Divinity builds, but I know that this card is now good. It gives either 2 or 3 mantra for 0, so that's pretty good. So I would say unupgraded 2, upgraded 3. Obviously an easy take if you're running Divinity build, but still. Protect. This one, I think this one is a 4 in both instances. It's a really good block, and having a block I mean, it's only good because it has retain pretty much. Retain is crucial when it comes to stuff like blocking. And that's why safety is also really good for the Watcher. We're gonna get to these later. Sash Whip. Now, this one might be a weird one. I mean, some people might have a problem that I'm rating it higher than Crash Joints. But let's rate it first, shall we? I think it's a 3 unupgraded, 4 upgraded. I think that weakness is a lot more valuable than vulnerable in this game. Because 1, it's harder to find, I think. And 2, it's just better. Like, vulnerable is something you don't actually need in a run. Like, not actually need, but you always need weakness. Because vulnerability, you can just do good damage on a run. You don't need vulnerability to amplify that even more. Because if you're taking something with vulnerability, you're usually sacrificing something else for it. Okay, so, Third Eye. This one's pretty good. I would say 3 unupgraded, 4 upgraded. Scry is useful, Block is useful. Enough said. Tranquility I already rated. Now Battle Hymn. This one is a first 5 out of 5 in my opinion. It's a really good power. And pretty much if you have this power, you pretty much don't need any offense in your run. Unless your build is really not poppin'. But I think like this is like all the attacks you could need in a single card, in my opinion. The Smite generation is really good and useful in pretty much every run. That's what I think. Now, Carve Reality. This one's weird for me. It's like damage and then more damage for later, but both are pretty mediocre. Obviously Smite is good, but the card itself is pretty bad. I would say 2 out of 5 in both instances. Okay, now Collect. Excuse me. And now Collect, put a Miracle. Yeah, this one's a weird one. But I think that it's a 1. Unupgraded. Upgraded it's probably a 2 or maybe even a 3. Like upgraded, it's kind of free energy, but you're still giving up a draw by getting Collect in the first place. I think it's, yeah, enough said. Conclude. Pretty good. Pretty damn good damage for 1 energy. To all enemies as well. But end your turn. Pretty big drawback. So, I would say 3 out of 10 in both instances. Now, Deceive Reality. I love this card. I always had at least 1. Usually probably even 2. I'm not even gonna give it a 4. I think I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Safety is 12 block for 1 energy that retains. It's really goddamn good. That's just what I think. Sure, the initial block is mediocre, but still. Even if you're playing both on the same turn, you're getting either 16 block for 2 or 19 block for 2, which is damn good, in my opinion. Now, Empty Mind. Exits your stance, draws some cards. Pretty damn bad in my opinion. I think it's a 1 out of 5 in both instances. Don't at me. Now Fasting. Fasting's a weird one. Gain 1 less energy is a huge drawback, but the gain is also really good. Like, I'm preemptively gonna give it a question mark out of 5, but then I'm gonna give it a 3 in both instances, I think. I've used this card, I've rarely used it, but I've used it once on a run when I had 5 energy, I think. And then this was pretty damn useful, and 4 energy was still plenty. So yeah, this card is good, but hard to make work in my opinion. I'd say it's a 3. Now, Fear No Evil. Fear No Evil, in most cases, this one is 8/11 damage and 3 calmness. But still, I don't think it's particularly good, and I never go out of my way to get this. Because it's unreliable as well, because an enemy needs to intend to attack. I'd say it's a 2 out of 5 in both instances. Now, Foreign Influence. Oh yeah, this one is the one they changed recently. Upgraded version now makes it cost 0, instead of giving you an upgraded version. So, I don't think it's as bad as some people think, even unupgraded. I would say I would give it... I think... It's another weird one. I think I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 when unupgraded and 4 out of 5 when upgraded. A free attack of your choice out of any character. Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, now Foresight. Foresight is like your perfect, boring and average power that you kind of want on every run, but you also kind of don't want it on any run. It's a really weird one. I think I'm gonna give it a 3 in both instances. And yeah, I mean Scrying 3 is pretty damn useful. And with synergies, this is an easy take, obviously. And now Indignation. This one is another weird one that I rarely use, but I know that it's real strong, especially upgraded. Okay, so if you're not in a ref, it's easy ref for 1 energy. Which is worse than Crescendo because this one isn't retainable. But if you are in a ref, free to find vulnerable, pretty damn good. Okay, so it's like I'm rating 2 cards in 1 with this one. So I have to find the middle ground. I think this one is a... I'm gonna give it a 2 when unupgraded and a 3 when upgraded. It's pretty damn good once you're in a ref, but if you're not in a ref, then this card is pretty bad. But it's still usable, I guess. Now Inner Peace. Either draw 3 or 4 cards or enter Calm. So this is the Calm equivalent of Indignation. But this one is far worse in my opinion. I think that this one is like a 1 unupgraded and a 2 upgraded. It's decent to draw for 1 energy, but if it's not a draw, then it's just Calmness for 1 energy and a card. Now, like Water. If you can remain yourself in Calmness if you're running this sort of stuff, which I kind of rarely do, then this is really good. I know that this card is really good, I just rarely make it work, but I've made it work like once or twice, I think. Especially unupgraded. This is so much free block every turn. I'll give it a 4, not a 5. I'll give it a 4 in both instances. Because if you can make it work, it's awesome. But if you can't, it's kinda meh. Now Meditate, it's another weird one. It's a really weird one. I don't really get this card. Like, you can choose any card to retain and then enter Calm. And then a drawback, which is ending your turn at that point. Don't take my word for it, but I'm giving it a 1 in both instances. It's kind of like setup for the Silent, which is a really weird card as well. This one is better, I know that it's better, but I still don't value it highly. I think it's a 1, maybe a 2. Okay, I can give it a 2, I don't care. Let's move on. Mental Fortress. Whenever you change stances, gain 4 or 6 block. Another kind of mediocre power, just like Foresight. This one, I'll give it a 2 out of 5 in both instances. I know that it can be good, but still, you're only like getting block out of this. And it's not like huge block, it's decent block, it can help you mitigate damage, obviously. Okay, now Nirvana. This used to be rare and it used to be so insane. It used to be 4 or 6 block, now it's 3 or 4. Okay, so this is actually very similar to Mental Fortress, just has a different enabler. The enabler is Scrying. I think I'll give it a 3. Like, Scrying is pretty common, so you'll be gaining block pretty commonly if you're running that sort of stuff. So I think it's a 3. Okay, let's move on. Perseverance. I rarely take this one because I think it ramps up too slowly, but aside from that it's a pretty decent card. I'll give it a 2 when unupgraded, 3 when upgraded. I think it needs to ramp up quickly. I think it needs the Mariner buff. Like, possibly increase its block by 3 on both versions would be welcome in my opinion. Prey. This one was changed a lot as well. I think this one's pretty decent. It's for divinity builds, obviously. I think it's a pretty good divinity enabler. I'll give it like a 2 when unupgraded, possibly even 3 when upgraded. It's another easy take if you're running divinity, but aside from that, it's whatever. Now Reach Heaven, I really like this attack. It went through many changes. It changed from rare to uncommon, but it's still pretty damn good. Through Violence now retains as well, it used to not retain. You're sacrificing a card draw by drawing Through Violence because you're shuffling it into your draw pile, but I still think this is pretty good. Like, this is effectively 30 or 35 damage for 2 energy. It's pretty damn good in my opinion, yes. Now Rush Down. Rush Down... it used to be even worse than it is now, but I still think it's pretty damn bad. I think... 1 when unupgraded, 2 when upgraded. Because it's free, so you're not wasting much. Don't at me. I think Rushdown's pretty bad. Sanctity. Now this one... I think people really like this one. This is like a backflip, but conditional, but 1 more block. And backflip... I think backflip is a pretty average card. In the silence deck, of course. This is a little bit better. So I'm still gonna give it a 3. But maybe a 4 when upgraded. Yeah, that's where I'll stand with this. Pretty good block that you have to enable, but it's pretty easy to enable. Now, Sands of Time. I really liked this one in the past, but right now I think it's a little bit too slow to enable. Like, you need to wait you need to draw it first, and then you need to wait several turns. If you want it to get to its maximum potential, you need to wait at least like 4 or 5 turns. I think it's like a 2. 2 out of 5 in both instances. That's what I think now. But I still sometimes take it. Now, Signature Move. It's really good, but it's also really bad at the same time. I'm giving it a 2 in both instances. Because if you want to have good attacks, you're adding good attacks. If you don't want good attacks, then what's wrong with you? Are you trying to lose the run? So that's why Signature Move is, even though it's really good, it's also really bad, and I'm giving it a 2. Now Shimmering Ray. Shimmering Fury, sorry. You can tell that I hate this card because I don't even know its exact name. I think it's a 1 in both instances. Like, you're paying 1 energy for just this cry at the turn you play it, then you get Wrath. Who cares? I really don't like it. 1 out of 5. Study. I've never taken it yet, I think. Even though I think it's not too bad. I think it's a 2 out of 5 in both instances. Yeah, it's decent. But, you know, cost opportunity and stuff. Swivel. This one's a weird one. If you have like Ragnarok or stuff like that, it's really good, but otherwise... yeah, I'm giving it a 3 in both instances. Talk to the Head. Now this one I love. Even though now I know that artifacts hard count on enemies, that is, they hard counter this, and you can get caught in a loop where you don't want to play this because your enemies have artifacts left and you want to get rid of them first before you play this. But this card is so bad if you're not getting the block out of this, and you're just keeping it in your deck, so you're like wasting draw and, you know, potential, you know, you're wasting potential if you're not playing this as soon as you show up. So in the past I would give it a 5, but now I'm giving it a 4 because artifacts, pretty much. Because it's unreliable, but it's still really good when it works. It's amazing when it works. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Oh, Tantrum. Easy 4. Might even be a 5. I think I'll give it a 5. This is easy Wrath manipulation. This is easy Wrath whenever you want it. and it's also pretty good damage that scales with strength and Wrath as well, obviously. I mean, every attack scales with Wrath, so mentioning this doesn't make sense, but still. I think that this is a really good card. Either a 4+ or a 5 for me in both instances. Really good. Now Wall Up. Oh. Another one when I don't know if I should give it a 4 or a 5. I'll give it a 4+ in both instances. This is another real good one. I love this one. Wall Up is really good. Especially when you're running Wrath a lot. Ooh, Weight of the Hand. This is a weird one. I'd say 2 when unupgraded, 3 when upgraded. Because this card pretty much doesn't do anything by itself. You need to gain block at the turn you play it as well, but once it does work and you play like 2 or 3 blocks even, you go 4 or 6 weak to all enemies. Really good. You can also get rid of artifacts with this card. Did I give it a rating? I think it's a 2 unupgraded, 3 upgraded. I'm not sure if I said that twice, I might have. Okay, now Weave. This is Flurry of Blows, but different. But still pretty much the same. I would give it a 2 for both. Weave and Weave Plus. Yeah, it's just free damage, but it's not much free damage, who cares? In my opinion. I think it's a 2. Oh, Wheel Kick. This is to be really overpowered when it released. Now it got a little bit nerfed. And I think it's still a... It's your average 2-cost attack in my opinion. But it doesn't mean it's bad, it's actually quite good. I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. For both. Well, now, Windmill Strike. This one used to be poop, but then they buffed it, and now it's pretty decent, I would say. Deal 7 damage, so if you deal 10 damage, so with the upgraded version, if you wait like 2 turns, it deals 20 damage for 2. I still think it's a little bit underpowered. I think I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5 in both. I take it sometimes, but it could be a little bit more still. But it's not unusable, it's pretty decent. Now Worship. Easy take if you're running Divinity, as usual, obviously. Upgraded version is pretty damn good for Divinity builds, I think. I think upgraded is like a 3 out of 5, but unupgraded, you're sacrificing a lot to play this. And having to play it as soon as it shows up if you're running Divinity is pretty painful. Paying 2 energy for this, I would say it's a... don't at me, I think it's a 1 when unupgraded, but a 3 when upgraded. Now, Wrath of Flame. I understand how you can make this work. Ragnarok with Wrath is like your ideal example, but I still think it's pretty not that good. I think... sorry. I think it's a 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5 when upgraded. It's still pretty mediocre in my opinion. Now Alpha. Now this is an interesting card. Our first rare card about it, by the way, is it? Yes. It enables a playstyle by itself. Is it good? Yes. Is it awesome? Possibly. It depends on the kind of deck you're running. If your deck is really thin and it has lots of blocks, this is really good. You might... I mean, I'm implying you know. You might not know. It gives you an alpha, then it gives you a beta, and a beta gives you omega that costs 3, and it causes your enemies to take 50 damage every turn. So it's like... It's pretty difficult to enable, but once you enable it, your enemies just die. Pretty much. I think it's... I'm gonna give it a 3. It's bad if your deck doesn't support it well, but it's really good when your deck does. So it's a very weird one, but ultimately I'm giving it a 3. Now Blasphemy. This is... I don't get this card at all. I always hate it when it shows up as a rare card reward. I think it... I shouldn't even be rating this, but I think it's a 1, or maybe even a 0, unupgraded. Upgraded is pretty good because it has retain, so you can pop it whenever you have. Oh, and I also do understand that if you have an artifact, you don't die next turn. After you play this, it just takes the artifact away. So I do understand that, but I still think it's pretty damn hard to make work. I mean, it's easy quick kills on your last turn if you're potentially, right? I mean, you can just end the fight with this, but if you don't, you're dead. So 0 when unupgraded, 2 when upgraded. I'm done with this card. I don't want to see it. Brilliance. This is a new one, and it's also a weird one again, in my opinion. I think it's a work in progress card. I don't think it's good specifically. Even if you do gain mantra, it's not it doesn't gain much out of mantra. I think it should deal like 2 additional or 3 additional damage out of 1 mantra, not just 1. Because that's how it works, right? I've never even had this card. Okay, so I'll give it a... Should I give it a 1? Yeah, it's a rare. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5. Fine, maybe a 2, because it's decent damage by itself. Okay, now. Now this one, I'm gonna give you a heated discussion here, alright? I think that this card is a 1. Even when upgraded. Why? I think it's a rare, first of all. Whirlwind for the Ironclad is a common. Skewer for the Silent is an uncommon. Now, Skewer and Whirlwind you can just play immediately and you get damage. But what you get with this card is you have to play it for a large amount of energy for it to be good. And then even if after you do play it, you need to draw it, so you're sacrificing another card slot to draw Expunger. And then when you draw it, it still costs 1. I think it's absurd that this card costs 1, the Expunger that is. And the damage is too low to compensate for it. Like, I get it, this does work good with strength and does work good with other stuff, but consider this. Imagine that you have 1 leftover energy and you have this card in your hand. You're using this for 1 energy when it's unupgraded. You're using it. What do you get? A card that makes you deal 9 damage. 9 damage. And you have to pay 1 energy twice. So, what are you giving up if you play it for 1? 2 card draws, because you need to draw Conjure Blade and then you need to draw Expunger. And then you're also giving up 2 energy on 2 turns. 2 separate turns. Because you paid 1 for Conjure Blade and then you paid 1 for Expunger. So, does an attack that costs 2 energy that deals 9 damage sound good to you? But because it sounds horribly to me. I know that it's a lot better when you sacrifice more energy to play this, but I think it's still really bad. I think that Expunger should definitely cost 0. That would be a start. Maybe the damage should even be buffed. Maybe it should be like 0 and 10 damage X times, in my opinion. I'm giving it a 1, sorry. Now, Deus Ex Machina. You're giving up a draw for it, but it's free retainable energy, obviously. I think that this one is really good. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 in both instances. It's free energy. What's there to not like? Oh, now Diva Form. Don't bring this one to me, please. This power used to give you 9 or 12 plated armor. It used to be really good. But now, the previous iteration was obviously too strong. and a must-take in like every build. So now, Divs gives you energy over time, so it can give you infinite energy, but the cost opportunity is really high. You're paying 3 energy, and then you get more energy later. And I don't think it's rarely a good take for any build, and it's also too expensive in my opinion. This is easily the worst form card. Like Wraith form, Demon form, Echo form, these three are all awesome. But this one I really don't like. I don't think I'm gonna give it a 1, I think I'm gonna give it a 2. But compared to the other form type cards, I think this one's really bad. Okay, we need to move on and move quicker, hopefully. It's probably over 30 minutes already, which I hate. Okay, now, Devotion. This is probably the best Divinity enabler so far. In the form of a card, obviously, that is. Gain 2 mantra every turn, gain 3 mantra every turn. I think this one might be a... Actually, it's hard for me to rate because I rarely run Divinity. And even if I do take Devotion and try to enable Divinity, it doesn't work out too well on higher Ascensions. But I still think this card's decent. Okay, I'm gonna downplay it a bit. I'm giving it a 2 when unupgraded and a 3 when upgraded. Yeah, I'm done with this. Yeah, this keeps scrolling for no reason. Okay, Establishment. I know I should be using these arrows, by the way, but... Okay, so Establishment. This is a good rare power. This is definition of good, in my opinion. If you have retainable cards, this is obviously really good, but if you don't, it's not really good. So, if you can make it work real good, but on average, I would say I would give it a 4 out of 5 in both instances. Yeah. Obviously, it's better the more retainable cards you have. Now, Judgment. For some people, I'm sure this is an easy 5 out of 5, but not for me. For me, this is a 4 out of 5, I would say. Because, why is it a 4 out of 5? Because it's a dead card if you can't kill an enemy with it. You can kill an enemy with it pretty regularly, but on boss fights, this card is pretty bad, I would say, so... Yeah. Overall, a 4 out of 5, I would say. Now, Lesson Learned. Whew! This one's spicy, and I love this card. This card is obviously trash by itself. It deals 10 or 13 damage for 2, but the permanent effect that it has on your run is amazing. So, the earlier you get this, the better it is, obviously. So if you get it early, it's an easy 5 out of 5, both upgraded and unupgraded. If you don't need it, if your card is almost entirely upgraded, you obviously don't take it. If you get this early, you obviously don't take it. But when you do take it, I think it's an easy 5 out of 5, so that's what I'm giving it. Done. Now, Master Reality. Whew, this is a new one. This is a pretty damn good one in my opinion. In order to know how good it is, you need to know what upgraded versions of every retainable card in the Watcher deck does. So right now, Smites deal from 12 to 16 damage when upgraded, Safe Deals give you 16 block instead of 12, Through Violence deals 30 damage instead of 20, etc, etc. Overall, I think this card is a 4 out of 5 in both instances. It's pretty damn good if you have... The more cards you create during combat, the better it is, but on an average take, when you think it is good, I think it's a 4 out of 5. Now, Omniscience. Whew. Expensive, very situational, but if you can, for example, use this to play a Ragnarok twice, or play a Wish twice, or play any kind of expensive card that benefits you well twice, this is really good. But you won't be able to always make it work, because you need to choose a card in your draw pile, if something you want to play with this isn't in your draw pile anymore, you obviously can't do it. I mean, and it also exhausts the card, so that's a minus. But overall, I think this is a 4 out of 5. This is a pretty good card. Well, maybe a 3 out of 5 when it's unupgraded, because the cost is just so insane. But upgraded, it's a 4 for me. Now Ragnarok. Ooh, this is a weird one. This is less damage than Bludgeon. It scales with Strength, and also Watcher has Wrath. Ironclad doesn't have Wrath. So, this is a pretty damn good expensive attack for the Watcher. If you have stuff that makes this better, it's an easy take. But on average, I would say it's not too good. It's decent. I would say, and also the upgrade gives it a lot. The damage goes from 25 to 36, which is plus 11. And obviously scales, the more strength you have, etc, etc. 3 out of 5 overall. That's my rating on this. Ooh, Scroll. This one went through some heavy changes, and that's its current state. I think it's an extremely easy take if you get it pre-upgraded. Upgraded a little bit less so, but still I think this one is I should take this card more often. I take this not as often as I should be. I think this card is an universal 4 out of 5. It's really good. Maybe even a 5 out of 5 when upgraded. It's really good. It's a ton of draw for free. What's there to hate? Ooh, a Spirit Shield. This is a really good defensive card. You always take it if you want some defense. This card used to be trash, but now it's really good. It went from 2 to 3 block, unupgraded, from 3 to 4 when upgraded. It costs 2. Okay, so you draw 5 cards, right? And this card counts itself, by the way. So upgraded, unupgraded. If you were drawing regular 5 cards and you play this first, you get 15 block. When it's upgraded, you get 20 block for 2. It's pretty good. Okay, maybe it's not like amazing, but I still think it's a pretty damn good defensive card. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Damn, my voice is getting tired. Thank God I only have 2 left. Okay, and these 2 are both expensive, very peculiar skills. Now this one. This one used to deal damage and give you intangibility. It doesn't do that anymore. Now you simply skip a turn, your enemies do nothing after you play this, and you get 1 more turn to play whatever the heck you want. Which is obviously really good. But also you lose your block after you play this. So you have to put up block again on the second turn after you played this, if you need it and your enemies are attacking. So, but it's still, I think it's still an easy take in most situations, in almost every run actually. I would give it a 4. Now Wish. This one's a weird one. I don't think it's as good as some people may think. Having a choice when you play this card is really good. Having choice is important. You're choosing either defense or offense or permanent gain. But all 3 of these options are kind of mediocre by themselves. Why? Let's break it down. You get 3 strength for 1 energy. For 3 energy, sorry. What does Inflame do for the Ironclad? 2 strength, but for 1 energy, so it's more efficient. Now Plated Armor, 6. Okay, I'm not going to compare this to anything because there's no comparison, there's no other card that does these two. So, I'm gonna just stop talking, and I'm gonna give it a all-around 3 out of 5. It's really good for boss fights. The permanent gain is important, especially the plated armor is pretty damn good for any fight. But it's also expensive and opportunity cost and all that. I'm just giving it a 3. And that's where this ends, I suppose, so I'm gonna bid you farewell, I'm gonna shut the frick up, and I'm going to press the end recording battle. Did I just say battle? I meant to say button, what the fuck? Okay, so I'm pressing the end record button, and I'm gonna see you... hopefully never? No, I'm just joking. I'm just gonna see you someday. See ya!